Hey K3, what's up? Welcome back to our series called Focus. All month long, we're talking about the word faith. You've got it. I bet you can say this with me by now. Faith is trusting in what we can't see because of what we can see. Great job. After this lesson, set your alarm for 12:30 to join us at Summer Sunday. Summer Sundays are our virtual small groups that are happening on Zoom. When you join, you have the opportunity to connect with leaders and friends. You can find the link to the Zoom group in the details of this YouTube video. Before we jump into worship and our lesson, let's play a game. Your job is to spot the part of the picture that's different. Think you can focus enough to find them? Let's give it a try. So, how'd you do? That snake one really threw me off. Before we jump into worship, let's practice this month's memory verse. It's from Ephesians 2:8 and says this: God's grace has saved you because of your faith in Jesus. Your salvation doesn't come from anything you do. It's God's gift. Let's try that one more time. Ephesians 2:8. God's grace has saved you because of your faith in Jesus. Your salvation doesn't come from anything you do. It's God's gift. Now we're ready for a little worship. Count down with me. 3, 2, 1.
Troubled brought to life when I met you. Reaching beyond the skies, running deep, stretching wide. Perfect love realized, here with you. Come on now. Now this love is for real, you will never let go, never let go. Oh, and it's more than just words, love beyond my control, out of control. Let's up! This is real love, this is real love. Say this is real love, this is real love. Oh. Come on, let's say. You're pulling me closer and closer, holding my heart till the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom. This is real love, this is real love. In your heart, I am found. I want you, I want you. You won't let me down. You got me, you got me. No time is for real, you will never let go, never let go. Oh, and it's more than just words, love beyond my control, out of control. You're pulling me closer and closer, holding my heart till the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom. This is real love, this is real love. Oh. Come on, y'all. You're pulling me closer and closer, holding my heart till the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom. So this is real love, this is real love. Oh.
You got this! You got this! You got this! You have got this! Yay! Yeah! Now we're focused.
Hey everyone, it's Erica. You might be wondering what I'm doing talking to myself in the mirror.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Well, I decided I needed a little encouragement because it's been sort of a hard week. You see, a few days ago, my aunt was stuck at home with a broken leg. So I took some soup to her house, but then her dog peed on my shoe. And then I slipped and spilled the soup all over the place. And then the next day, I was walking home from the library and a car drove through a puddle next to me and splashed water all over me and all over my library book. Are you kidding me? Then, yesterday, I tripped over a sleeping cat and I fell into a prickly rose bush. Ow, ow. So, it's been one of those weeks. And I'm trying to encourage myself to have a better day. But it's going to take faith. Faith is trusting in what you can't see because of what you can see. So even though I still have a few scratches from yesterday's catastrophe, I have faith that today will be better.
See? It's better already!
Today's story is all about some people who are having a bad week. Actually, several weeks. And okay, maybe they had bigger problems than spilled soup, a wet library book, and a thorny rose bush. But my week was still pretty bad. I'll see you when the storm passes. That'll make sense after the story.
This is an amazing story inspired by the book of Acts, chapter 27 and 28. Paul faced many difficult days because he taught so boldly about Jesus. He was beaten, made fun of, thrown in jail, and run out of town. At last in Jerusalem, Paul was arrested by Roman soldiers who threatened to kill him.
He speaks against our law.
Get rid of that guy!
Paul paced in his prison cell. The Lord stood next to him.
Be brave. You have told people about me in Jerusalem. You must do the same in Rome.
Because a group of Jews were plotting to kill him, Paul was taken to the governor in Santoria. From there, he was ordered to stand trial before Caesar. Then he was handed off to a Roman commander for the sea trip.
I am Julius of the Imperial Guard. I am very imperious, but also a reasonable human being.
Glad to hear it.
Julius allowed Paul to visit with friends as he stopped at a port city in Poseidon. From there, he sailed around Cyprus and transferred to a ship from Egypt carrying grain to Italy. The ship fought against winds for many days until they arrived at an island called Crete, a town called Fairhaven. It was already well into October, a risky time for sea travel.
Men, I can see that our trip is going to be dangerous. The ship will be lost, and our own lives will be in danger.
A reasonable concern.
The pilot and shift owner wanted to reach a better harbor for winter.
Pish posh. We can make it to Phoenix.
Well,
Feel that? Gentle southerly breeze. Perfection.
we leave at once.
Anchors away!
But very soon, the gentle sea breeze transformed within a short amount of time. The wind sped against the ship with the strength of a hurricane, and the pilot gave up finding the gale.
Hoist the lifeboat. Secure ropes around the bow. Jettison the cargo.
In the midst of the chaos, the Lord sent an angel to Paul. The next morning, Paul withstood the storm to encourage the crew and passengers. 276 people.
First, not to say I told you so, but I told you so. Second, not a problem. Last night, an angel from God told me, do not be afraid, Paul. You must go on trial in front of Caesar. God has shown his grace by sparing the lives of all those sailing with you. But we must run the ship onto an island.
On the 14th night of the storm, the sailors realized they were nearing land.
The water's only 90 feet deep here.
Drop the anchor.
The crew was so afraid of crashing against the rocks that they lowered the lifeboats, planning to escape and leave the passengers.
Julius, these men must stay with the ship. If they don't, you can't be saved.
A reasonable request. Cut the ropes.
The soldiers cut the rope so that the crew could not escape. Just before dawn, Paul gathered everyone on board, shouting above the winds.
Not a problem. None of you will lose a single hair from your head. Now, I'm asking you to eat so you can live.
Paul took bread and thanked God for it. He broke it, and everyone was filled with hope because they had food to eat as the great morning dawned.
There's the beach. Lift the anchors and we'll run her aground.
But as the pilot steered desperately for shore, the ship hit a sandbar and began to break into pieces. The soldiers were planning to kill Paul and the other passengers and prisoners from keeping them swimming to freedom.
Stop! Don't hurt them. Paul must live. Everyone overboard. Swim to land or grab a piece of the wreckage.
Miraculously, everyone made it to shore, just as God had promised.
Welcome to Malta.
People of Malta were unusually kind as they built a fire to welcome this large group of wet and stranded visitors.
I'll fetch some more firewood.
Paul tossed sticks into the fire. Then a deadly snake slithered up and sunk his teeth into Paul's hand.
This man must be a murderer. The gods won't let him live.
Not a problem. Totally fine.
Paul simply shook the snake free into the fire. When the people saw that he was unharmed, they decided he was a god. Publius, the chief official, welcomed Paul and others into his home.
Take whatever you need.
Paul discovered that Publius's father was sick, so he prayed.
Jesus, please, heal this man.
Publius's father was made well. All the sick people on the island came to see Paul, and they too were healed. Paul had much respect from all. So by the time it was time to leave, the people of Malta gave them all of the supplies they needed.
Bon voyage!
At long last, Paul neared Rome. The believers had heard he was on his way, and they traveled to meet him.
Welcome to Rome.
I thank God for you all.
In Rome, Paul was allowed to live in his home for 2 years. He welcomed anyone who came to see him. He told Jews and Gentiles alike the good news of Jesus, just as God promised he would.
So, a shipwreck is probably worse than tripping on a cat, but a bad week is a bad week. And the important thing to realize is that we all have problems, and we all get to choose how we react to those problems. Paul chose to trust that God was with him no matter what he was going through. You see, Paul understood that God had a bigger plan. Ever since Paul came to know Jesus as God's son, he had devoted his life to telling others about Jesus. And Paul knew that no matter what problems he faced, they were worth it if it helped him spread the good news of Jesus to the world. So Paul didn't necessarily focus on the storm, the shipwreck, and the snake bite like they were problems. Instead, he trusted that God was leading him somewhere. He trusted that God had a plan. And Paul's not the only person who can change focus like that. We can too! When we hope and trust in Jesus, it can change how we look at our problems. That's the one thing to remember today. Knowing Jesus changes the way you see your problems. When you're having one of those weeks, or months, or years, or whenever we have a problem, sometimes the bad stuff is all we can focus on. But when you know that God has a plan and that Jesus is always with you, it can help take the focus off yourself and put your focus on Him. Whenever you're facing tough situations, remembering that God is with you can make it less hard or scary. So don't forget, God has got this. See you next time. Bye.